Yo, plug me in. Plug me in to the STEM Plug podcast.
Welcome to the very first of the official STEM Plug podcast. STEM Plug, if you don't know, STEM Plug is a brand just to advocate all areas of science, technology, engineering, and math. My name is Rich Novated, the founder of STEM Plug. I am also a robotic engineer, a author, as well as a mentor. But today we have an amazing STEMpreneur by the name of Minyan. Minyan is not only just a scientist, she's a holistic scientist. Minyan holds a bachelor's from St. Augustine's University. Actually, my alumni, we went to the same school, same university, got it out the mud together. Minyan also holds a master's degree in molecular biology. So pleased to welcome Minyan to the very first podcast for the STEM Plug podcast. And Minyan, feel free to introduce yourself. Where are you from? We have everything about you, as far as that you're, the holistic scientist. You have a master's in molecular biology, but we want to go from the beginning, right?
Right.
Tell me a little bit about yourself. Where did Minyan start from? Where are you from?
So I'm from San Bernardino, California. I've always pretty much knew I wanted to go in the field of sciences. In high school, I went to a Royal Valley High School, and we had actually a forensic class at my high school. But before that, I guess my mom, she used to always watch like these science shows, CSI, detective shows and stuff like that. So it always kind of had piqued my interest. So from high school, I already knew that's what I wanted to do. And I was also in this program, Blue Educational Foundation, that actually helped me get to college. And kind of the last minute, they gave me 4 options of colleges to go to. I didn't want to go to my local university, Cal State San Bernardino. I kind of wanted to branch out. I didn't want to be around the same people anymore. So, the program I was in, they gave me 4 colleges, and St. Aug was one of them. And that was the only school that actually had the forensic science program. So it's like, okay, without a doubt, I'm just going to go there and pursue my degree in the sciences. So that was kind of my foundation. I just knew what I wanted to do.
Wow. So you already knew in high school that you wanted to study forensic science.
Yes.
Wow, that's amazing. So going to St. Aug, we both went to school together, kind of in common some of the same classes. Can you tell us about maybe some of the, struggles that you might have went through, starting to study, forensic sciences? Was there anything that was kind of like give you a little hiccup, but you got through it?
Well, we know about that Pinnock Hall at St. Augustine University. So that is tough, going to the science is tough, but because I had that passion, that drive of knowing I wanted to study like DNA, molecular biology, that kind of kept me going. I know I didn't want to do anything else, so it wasn't really an option to quit. And the professors kind of help support that too there. So I'm grateful to have some guidance, and then doing internships at North Carolina State Crime Laboratory. That kind of gave me some footwork to know, okay, this is what the field is about. But learning ethical issues as well when it comes to forensic science, that kind of strayed me away from it a little bit, but I still like the art of forensic science. But then it just led me more into, getting my master's in molecular biology and leaning more of what I was more interested in of, DNA, and getting into epigenetics, which, my non-thesis was about, and then altogether come into like holistic health.
Wow. You said a lot there. We can't just downplay that. So you mentioned about your internship. That's something that you were, and I kind of have a same story, because when I was in undergrad at St. Aug, I actually wanted to go to dental school to be a dentist. But then after I did like an internship, it kind of showed me that, I really didn't want to go to dental school anymore.
Right.
But, it was great kind of experience that I got that gave me some, good values and stuff that I, use today in my role as a robotic engineer. even, running my business. So what values would you say that, just those internships kind of gave you, even though that you're not in that same field right now? What kind of values did that kind of provide you?
Just to give me more insight of how the world works. Developing your character, your morals. It's just like you hear so many. I mean, of course, there's good and bad with everything, but like diving into that field, you can see how, like being a DNA analyst, how that can support a person. Or you hear stories too where prosecutors might pay analysts to falsify evidence to, not to represent the person accurately with test results. So that kind of was like touchy. And then I thought I was going to be the person that was going to go in and kind of fix the system. But like, I'm like, that would have been too stressful. And, it was a lot to kind of think about.
Wow. So that was a great experience. Okay. Well, that's a amazing journey. So you mentioned after kind of leaving St. Aug, right? You got you went and got your master's. So where did you get your master's from again?
So I did an online program through Lehigh University that's based out in Pennsylvania.
Okay. Lehigh University. Okay. So what made you want to go into molecular biology? I know you said a lot about like just different DNA and stuff like that. Was this the only program that you looked at? Was there anything else, or what made you directly want to go into that?
Well, it was more convenient for me at that time, I had a son, so he was 2 years old about when I started the program. So it was more convenient for me at that time just to do the web-based program. And I've always had an interest in like DNA, even through going through my undergrad at St. Aug. I used to kind of just study the esoteric stuff about DNA that we don't really talk about in class. Like we have these coding and non-coding regions within our DNA. And we always talk about this, junk DNA. So I was always fascinated. Well, how can we activate this DNA? How can we live up to our full potential? So that's always kind of been my curiosity with the DNA evolution and frequencies. And that all ties into me with holistic health, with spirituality. It's just like, how can we get in ourselves in alignment to basically heal ourselves or get to our higher level of self? So that's how I've always been fascinated with that. Comes into like molecular biology, some parts of molecular biology.
Yeah. I just think it's amazing that, you're with this holistic journey that you're, spreading with the world. A lot of people sometimes have a journey that they spread, but they might not have the actual background. But, you have the training in molecular biologist, you're a scientist, so you're like the real deal. So I even see your background of, all of your herbs. So can you just kind of give me a story about, like, I know you mentioned about high school and everything like that, but when did you really like this herb, lifestyle? When did this really kind of all come into play? I mean, when you wanted to kind of, go into this venture?
Coming across different people, having conversations, studying under different teachers. We all know like Dr. Sabi. One of my other favorite notable teachers is Dr. Laila Africa. Going on YouTube, researching their work, how holistic health works for the body, learning about melanin, us as melanin people, what foods are good and not good for us. And then, it just was like a branch of information that includes or entails holistic health and dealing with like pineal gland and chakras and crystals and consciousness, and that still all entails like have a direct effect on our DNA. So the foods we eat are this basically the definition of holistic health is the foods we eat, past trauma from our parent, going generations back, emotional, social settings, environmental settings, all this have a direct effect on our genes of how we're going to be healthy or not healthy, essentially.
Wow. You spitting bars right there. Me myself, I sometimes we get in life and we have a lot going on, and then, we ignore our diet. We're just like, on the go so much. So we're just eating random foods. And like you said, all of that stuff kind of really has effect on you. So like, what would you say are like kind of your standard meal that you kind of eat that kind of gets you up going?
So I
in the
give a
place right for the
disclaimer.
day to
I give
day.
a disclaimer to all my clients and all my followers. Like, I don't have the healthiest diet. Don't put me on a pedestal with Dr. Sadie, the super vegan diet. Like, no. But I do believe in balance. You don't want to consume too much dairy and too much meat. So it's going to have a detriment on our health overall. But I feel like if you are dealing with a serious illness, then you do definitely want to cut back on those foods, far as meat and dairy products. So, but my standard meal, I guess, I always like to juice. So that's one of my new things to do is really
Okay.
juicing a lot, making smoothies, really trying to stay away from high carb foods like too much bread, too much white rice, white sugar, all the white stuff you kind of want to stay away from because that's really going to cause too much damage to our body. So you want to eat more whole grains like quinoa, lentils, amaranth, yeah, things like that.
Okay. Okay. So you just mentioned something about your clients, and you brought up a good question that I was just thinking of. You might not notice, but I see your brand, everything that you're building. You have an amazing brand, and it seems like you have a pretty big following. So, how does it really make you? How does it make you feel that you're really helping people on their holistic journey? How does that make you feel inside?
That's the best part of the job. It's like I could do all these videos. I can give all this information of how herbs and diet and stuff can help you. But it's like when my clients or my customers actually use this information or use my products and implement it in their life, and they come back and give me the results like, oh, your high blood pressure medicine worked, or my nerve support salve has worked for them that's dealing with neuropathy. I like to hear those results that's working for them. That's like the best feeling. Like, oh dang, it's really having an effect, or I'm really actually helping somebody by the medicine or the herbs or the combinations that I'm using. So that's like the best reward, is just to hear that it's working.
Wow, wow. Yeah, I know that has to be amazing feeling.
Yes.
So I guess kind of going more into your venture of holistic, your journey and your business. How many current clients do you have under your academy?
Oh, so I have, my school, my program, I have the Herbal Holistic Science Academy. Right now I have about 20 students. I just kicked off the academy around this time last year. So the academy is fairly new. So that's one area that I want to grow within my business, just reaching more people that's interested in the field of herbal science, herbal medicine, that want to get into this journey, to know that this program is available. And my program offers that science background of herbal sciences, basics of pharmacokinetics, epigenetics, herbal contraindications to pharmaceuticals in clinical trial settings. So I think that's what make my program maybe stand out from many other programs. And this study, too, you can really study on your own. But if you just want to have that structure, that organization that's already set for you, that platform, then that's when I feel like my academy will be great for those who want to seek this career.
Wow, you better go ahead and brag about your academy. I see it. I see it. No, that's amazing. So you mentioned, you have a lot of STEM experience. It seems like you've taken a lot of hard classes. I know we've taken some hard classes together at Pinnock at St. Aug. What would you say is like the most important lesson you've learned over your STEM career?
Consistency and discipline. So those are my two words that I give myself foremost, but then I also give my clients. So when I'm dealing with one-on-one clients too, for their holistic health, those are the two main things I tell people. Like, you're not going to be able to see those results, no matter it's with your health or within life, if you don't have that discipline and consistency to keep going.
Wow. Yeah, consistency is the key, right?
Definitely.
Even just setting those different routines. Do you have like a morning routine that you kind of follow that helps you stay consistent?
Not a set routine, but I will say prayer. That's my number one medicine, is definitely prayer. That spiritual aspect that gives me that motivation, that drive, especially those days where we have discouragement and we just kind of need to lead on something, that motivation to kind of lift us up to keep going. So that's my one routine that I will do consistently, is pray.
Mm, mm, mm. So would you recommend a certain herb or anything that kind of like helps with like more consistency or drives or motivation or anything?
maybe more like mental focused herbs, like ginkgo or like go-to cola. Actually, this one right here, go-to
Okay.
cola. So this is kind of more of that focus herb to kind of help
Okay.
you, to stay on track to
Go to
stay too.
cola. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the name, where do these names kind of come from? Like
Ooh.
go to cola. Where does that kind of come from?
They all have like different origins depending on where they derive from.
Got
But
you. Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Wow. That's amazing. You're teaching me a lot. And I guess, when you're on a journey, you always have mentors and people that kind of inspire you. And I know you mentioned about a few people, their holistic lifestyle kind of, you kind of looked up to that kind of got you to where you're at today. Can you kind of go more in depth into that of like, some of the people that you kind of looked up into and from the holistic lifestyle and how they kind of, motivated you and helped you to get to where you're at today?
Yes. So the main two is Dr. Sabi. Everyone know Dr. Sabi in the holistic health. And I really advocate for him too because he doesn't have like a educational or formal background. And I want to tell people that too, like you don't necessarily have to have a degree if you want to go into holistic health, but if you really know what you're talking about and applying it effectively, then you're still going to see those results, or you can still build that clientele because you have that knowledge. So that's what I really appreciate about Dr. Sabi. And Dr. Laila Africa, he's my other mentor that I really like too. He really goes more into that science for me. So him, like this is kind of like my herbal Bible right here, African holistic health. So this is like my go-to. So he's my other favorite teacher. So them two. And on the more of the science thing, Bruce Lipton. So if I give you a third one, he's a notable scientist in epigenetics, and he's really about the message of biology of belief and how we can basically change ourselves or change our health by speaking it into existence type of thing. So those three have been a big impact on my journey and learning more about herbal holistic health.
Wow. That's an amazing story. So I guess kind of just sharing about, all of your influences and your mentors. When you kind of tell, how do you so say I'm a friend or a parent, how do you explain what you kind of do on a day to day, and how do you explain it?
So basically, I tell them that I deal with alternative ways of medicine. I try to educate people that there's an alternative way to basically heal yourselves instead of just relying on pharmaceuticals. And I don't want people to get the misconception that I'm like against pharmaceuticals or Western medicine because it can have some benefits, but long term, that's what you want to think about because essentially it can cause organ damage or organ failure because so much toxicity is building up in the body. So I would just educate them that there are natural plants and herbs that we can take that are more safe. That's not going to do those long-term damages, and for them to make the decision for themselves if this is what you want to do.
That's a good breakdown. I know, like, far as me, working in robotics, I say I'm a robotic engineer. Some people have their different thoughts and their different ideas of what robotics is. So just going and explaining that. So you as a holistic scientist, I really appreciate the breakdown of you just showing everything. You making it seem it's amazing to me, and I want to dive deep down in some more herbs myself of just understanding stuff. I'll say more. So I guess another question that I have, I know we talked about consistency, right? What would you say? What's another trait that you would say is kind of most important for the work that you do, like in your herb lifestyle as well as your molecular biologist role as well? What is another important trait you would say?
Reading, and don't think that you're ever done learning. Like there's always something that you continue to learn from. Like just because I have a foundation with my business doesn't mean like I know everything type of thing. I'm constantly reading. I'm constantly looking up new herbs or how I may need to switch a formula. So it's just a never ending growth. So just keep applying yourself, keep networking with different people to learn and grow within your field.
Yeah. No, that's true. I know I look at myself as a lifelong learner. Like I feel like if you're not learning, you're a lot, but are
Stagnant.
you really living? Are you really
Right.
living? So I feel you on that. Do you have any? Has there been any books or anything that particular that you've read lately that you want to share that have really had a positive effect on you?
Going back to Dr. Laila Africa, this is kind of like my go-to, pretty much for kind of everything, or just herbal books in general. But this one is what I really reference a lot. So, yeah, African Holistic Health by Dr. Laila Africa. So, my number one
Okay.
reference book.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, I guess one of the questions that I kind of had, we covered everything about kind of everything that you do within STEM and your holistic journey and everything like that. Do you have any other hobbies that you might have outside of STEM that kind of may take your mind off everything that might be going on?
I like traveling. And speaking of traveling, too, that we discussed, a travel agency had reached out to me as well to for people to want to do a holistic wellness retreat. So if we get enough people, then that's something that I look forward to do with my followers is to travel. And outside of traveling, what else I like to do? I like to be outside in nature, hiking, sports. I like to play tennis, beach. Yeah, just out in nature.
Wow, wow. Okay, so you brought up a great point. So you said you're going to have a holistic retreat. Well, we gotta dive into this a little bit more. What's going to kind of go down all at this holistic retreat?
So right now we're just collecting data to see where people might be interested in traveling to. So right now, some of the choices that people want to go is like Hawaii, Costa Rica, Kenya, and I forget, Belize was one of the top four destinations people want to go to. But there we're just kind of like tour the places out, knowing about the nature within that area, learn about the culture, and then maybe learn about some plants and herbs that grows native in that environment as well. So if it's a go, then I look forward to that too.
Okay, okay, okay. So is there a certain amount of clients or people that you're looking to come with you on this retreat? What's your
So
kind
our
of numbers that you're
target,
looking
yeah,
at?
our target goes between 50 and 100 people. So I might be at the 50 mark right now. So I have to get back in touch with them to see if we're going to actually plan this trip. So that would be
Okay.
spring of 2024 if we decide to do it.
Wow. So you just put out this word and you're
Mhm.
already about sold out
Oh my gosh.
already.
It's not
That's
selling yet. It's just really collecting data to see where would people want to go and what's their budget. And then once we have that data of those numbers of people between that 50 and 100 people, then that's when we start planning. Okay, so we know where people want to go and what's their budget, and then we can start actually planning the trip.
okay. Okay. And what
Mhm.
season of the year will this be in?
Spring of 2024, so next year. So we have 1 year for people to make payments and be comfortable enough to have an emotion.
Okay. Is there a reason why you picked spring? Is that your favorite season of the year, or
That is
what's
my
what's your
favorite
favorite
season.
season? Okay.
That
Okay.
is my favorite season because that's when I was born. I'm an Aries, but not only that, but that's when everything is, coming to life. That's when the flowers and stuff is blooming. So that's really the real year starting, right? In the
Nah,
springtime.
nah. I agree. I'm an Aries as well, so
Hey,
looking forward to the springtime, minus the pollen that's like
that
down
part.
here in North Carolina. But yeah, definitely excited for the spring.
Yeah.
Um, you mentioned that's the spring is the real start of the year. So do you feel as though I always hear different stories about like
Hmm.
of course, January 1st is the beginning of the year, but far as, within April being the
Hmm.
actual start of the year, can you kind of go into that a little bit more in detail, what you mean by that?
Mm. I could just give you a little bit, with the Gregorian, with the Gregorian calendar, that was like kind of a little bit made up. So we really have to go off of the seasons with the planetary alignment to know exactly when's the start of the seasons. So looking at it that way, then it makes more sense that spring would be the beginning of the bloom of the year. And in relations to zodiac, being Aries being the first zodiac, that leader, the number one. So kind of correlates and makes sense to me.
Okay. You better plug everybody in with some information. I hear that. So yeah, again, Minyan, I really appreciate your story and everything that you really shared with us. I feel like everyone is learning a lot more about the holistic,
Definitely.
life journey, right?
Hmm.
So like when you wake up in the morning, right? What kind of motivates you? What are you driven by?
I'm driven by my clients just to know that I can make a difference in someone's health life, even if it's just a little bit. As herbalists, we can't really say that we can cure people, but if I can definitely relieve those symptoms and help you live a more comfortable lifestyle, and again, getting those feedback from clients, I think that's really, really rewarding. It's just to like, wow, like I got to get up, I got to make this medicine because people are dependent on me. Yeah, so that's the most best part of doing my work.
Wow, that's amazing. So, it's amazing when you have, I guess, a story that's like not just driven by money, right?
Right.
So it seems like, really all the work that you're doing, just the universe is just blessing you with all these
I share.
different areas. So that's really an amazing thing. What would you kind of say is your proudest accomplishment so far?
Just to see the growth of my business, starting, not with so many clients, not so many followers, not too many people knowing who I am and what I do, but again, applying that consistency, that discipline within my work, and just really stepping out of my comfort zone and just putting myself out there, and now seeing the results and seeing how people are benefiting from my medicine that I make. That is like the most rewarding for myself. It's like I did that. Like I didn't stop. I didn't give up, and I just kept going. And I'm still continue to go and grow within my business. So yeah, that's the
Yeah,
most
you did
rewarding.
that. You better go ahead and brag on yourself. So we not going to undercut that last part you said about just like growing your followers.
Hmm.
So like I follow your brand pretty closely, and I've seen the way that you have grown with your content and just growing more of a following and people that
Hmm.
are just interested into your holistic lifestyle.
Yeah.
What's some words of advice you would give to someone that's just kind of like they might have a brand or a business that they're trying to start,
Hmm.
maybe within STEM or outside of STEM,
Hmm.
but they're on that start of that foundation and they're just struggling to kind of go on. What advice would you give? Because I've seen you build your brand up and you didn't give
Yeah.
up, like you said. So, what's some advice that you would give?
I would just say just to do it. Like even if like for me, for example, for myself, I don't necessarily like being on camera. I don't like talking. I'm very shy, but I still just, press that button to send my video out there. And it's just like, okay, whatever happens, happens. And then after doing that so many times, then you just see, okay, like, oh, people's hearing me, people's seeing me. And then that becomes word of mouth and sharing to the next person. Then you just reach all these people. So it's like you start off maybe with 1 to 100 or even 500 followers, and now I'm up to like 112 followers. So I think that's really cool. Yeah, just me.
112,000,
112.
112,000.
Yes,
Yeah. Don't
112,000.
don't
Thank you
don't
for
undercut
correcting
yourself now.
me.
112,000.
112,000
There
followers.
you
Yes,
go.
exactly. Um, but yeah, it's just like getting out of your comfort zone. And even if you feel uncomfortable doing it, like right now, I even feel uncomfortable just doing this podcast. Again, just one of my challenges, just talking. But it's just like I have to do things that makes me uncomfortable just to reach more people or to open up doors that I didn't know even existed.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, I'll kind of say the same with me. Like you just have to be get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Like
Yes.
I know myself, I don't really like attention, but just
Mhm.
knowing that when you're doing something, you're doing it for the impact of people that you don't even know, right?
Right.
So just putting yourself out there and kind of just building that content.
Right.
So you know that's I really appreciate you really sharing that, and that's amazing. So where can our audience find you at? Where we mentioned about your Instagram and everything like that. Where can we reach you at?
Yes. So my Instagram is, I have a lot of dots and underscores, and I know people been making fake profiles too. So
You
it's,
know you made it now.
yeah, hey, but it's at Minyan, MINYAN underscore the period herbal period scientist. So that's my Instagram, and my email, if you want to shoot me an email, is sacredlotuswoman@gmail.com. And my website too is herbalholisticwellness.com.
Okay.
You can contact me there.
Got you. So how can our listeners also be of support of your work? Is there anything in particular that you're looking for to plug in and be of support? How can our listeners be of support of you?
Just really tapping into my social media. Mainly Instagram is what I'm on more consistently. Follow, share to someone else. And that's all. That's free support. So if you could just do that to reach more people who doesn't know about herbalism or holistic health, just check out my Instagram, my social medias, and just share it with someone else.
Wow. Okay. We appreciate everything that you have shared, Young, the herbal scientist. I'm telling you,
Thank you so
Young
much,
shared a
Rich.
lot of stuff with us today that you don't want to miss, and stay tuned for some more. So, Young, is there anything you want to leave our listeners with today? Any final thoughts?
Final thoughts is, again, what we talked about: stay consistent, be disciplined, step out of that comfort zone. What else? And give back to your community. So that's one thing I would like to share. Give back.
That part. That's cool. Well, I appreciate you for sharing today, Minyan, and joining us today on the first official STEM Plug podcast. I hope everyone's enjoyed, and we will be back with you soon.
Yes. Thank you for having me.